Good morning to you. I am Mark Sudduth, and here's what's up in the tropics. It is Monday, the 24th of October, 2022. After a brief respite, the Atlantic is back to being, well, at least a little bit interesting here as we start the week. We've got this area of interest to the south and east of Bermuda. 10% chance of development over the next couple of days as we expand out to the 5-day. Both of these areas, there's another one that does start to show up later in the period, north of Puerto Rico there. Both of these, not too big of a problem, it looks like overall. Certainly something to watch. And we might get a named storm out of the southernmost system. We'll see about that. I'll show you that on the GFS in just a moment. Meanwhile, after very powerful Hurricane Rosalind made landfall in central Mexico over the weekend, we can say that the Eastern Pacific is finally quiet after a very busy season. Really started there in July and didn't quit now until Rosalind made landfall very early in the morning hours of Sunday. Looking at the satellite animation, there's our system to the south and east of Bermuda. Kind of a large overall complex area of different low pressure centers over the Atlantic. Some of that energy might make its way close enough to Bermuda to bring you some inclement weather. Other than that, just general stormy conditions there over the central subtropical Atlantic. And you can't see it now because it's going to be several days down the road in developing. But this area north of Puerto Rico, we will have to watch for potential subtropical development. And that basically means that the system would be more spread out, not as concentrated as a typical deep tropical development system like Ian. That was purely tropical, no doubt about it. So this is more of your hybrid system that we could be looking at. But again, it's a few days out, and there's really nothing much there yet over the Atlantic, but apparently there could be in the next several days. And we need to watch this area of clouds and showers and thunderstorms well to the east of the Windward Islands. It doesn't look like much now, but some of that energy should make its way to the west with time, and it might combine with some energy coming off of South America. And that might develop into something in the Eastern Caribbean. The GFS especially has been very persistent, run after run after run, in developing something in the Eastern Caribbean. And I think we're going to have to start watching that a little bit closer here. The Hurricane Center hasn't mentioned it yet, but that might be only a day or two away from starting to show up in their outlook. And for good reason. The water temperatures in the Atlantic Basin here, look at this, still running well above average across a good deal of the North Atlantic, while the Eastern Pacific, the Central, and all the way out towards the Western Pacific, still running well below average with that strong La Nina that's in place. You couple that with the very warm Atlantic still, and I think we're not done. Hurricane season goes through November 30th for a reason, and this year there is plenty of anomalous warm water, warmer than it's usually seen this time of year, and that could provide the energy for more activity over the next couple of weeks or so. All right, so here's the GFS. This is the 6Z run, and let's start it out here. There's the piece of energy that goes by Bermuda, but then another feature, another one develops there north of Puerto Rico, southwest of Bermuda, at around days 3, 4, and 5. We'll have to watch this for potentially becoming our next named storm. The GFS concentrates it a little bit more solidly there, meaning that maybe it's subtropical in nature at first, meaning, again, it's not as concentrated, but then it tries to sort of tighten up there. At least that's what the GFS is showing. We'll wait and see if other guidance jumps on board. But overall, yes, there could be some activity there between the southeast U.S. and Bermuda. It might create some swells if it does get going strong enough out there. We'll wait and see about that, though. It's still several days away. Then, down here in the Eastern Caribbean, as we watch this little bit of energy come in there, and then finally around days 4 and 5, it starts to congeal in the Southeast Caribbean, just to the west of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, we're going to have to really start to watch this because, again, the GFS has been very persistent. As I said earlier, run after run after run, it keeps showing up, and the signal is moving just a little bit closer into time, especially as of late. Again, this is right there at day 5, so we're not talking about 10 days out, 12 days out. So we're going to have to start watching this very closely. At the very least, some impactful weather in the way of this energy trying to come together down there in the Southeast Caribbean, Trinidad, Tobago, the southern Windward Islands as a whole, and parts of northern South America could be impacted by this feature as it starts to get going. Well, we'll talk about that and much more in my hurricane outlook and discussion. I'll be back this afternoon with a detailed look at everything going on out there, plus a look back at Wilma and Sandy. A lot of anniversaries around this time of year, even in late October. We'll cover all of that and more in my hurricane outlook and discussion later this afternoon. All right? As always, thanks for tuning in to What's Up in the Tropics. I do appreciate it. I am Mark Sudduth. I'll be back with you later this afternoon.